What is with this thing? Excuse me while I adjust my accoutrements. There we go. Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing? Nice to see so many familiar faces, or I should say names, avatars. There's so many familiar avatars. Lynn McCurdy, you are as reliable as the mail. I mean that as a compliment. I know in some places the mail is not reliable. It's just an old saying. It's, you know, you're always here. I really appreciate it. Sam Miller, greetings. How's things out in Georgia? Brian Kelly, Steamwood Grove. I like that name. John Clark, welcome. John Shireen, Carrie Hawker, Jim Manley. Nice to see you, Jim. Thanks for showing up tonight. Mike Heath, Justin Gagne, Tim Clark. I can't give a shout out to everybody, but you know, hey, thanks everybody for showing up. Terry Johnson. From all over the country. Norman Rowe. Mr. McGowjobs. How's everybody doing tonight? How's the weather where you're at? Let's start off by talking about the weather. We're having the weirdest weather in Arizona this year. All along the West Coast, too, is having weird weather. All winter long, it was weird weather. We're having weird, and now it's like, you know, we have a rainy season in Arizona called the monsoon season, where it comes in like early mid-July, and then we get thunderstorms every afternoon. Big, spectacular thunderstorms. We actually get almost half of our rainfall, maybe half of our rainfall that time of year, between like July and into September, sometimes early October. This year, the monsoons seem to be starting now, in the middle of May, which is weird. So we didn't have summer. We went from winter to a nice spring to immediately into monsoon season. Usually what happens is it gets really super hot first. Hot and humid, and there's like 3 or 4 weeks or 6 weeks sometimes where it's just unlivably hot and sticky. And then finally it starts raining. But now it's like, we got one blowing in right now outside the window. Just hot and such down in Phoenix. Nice in Ohio, that's good. How are things in Paso Robles, Steve? Just started raining down in Anthem, Jim. Are you in Anthem tonight, or are you up here at your dad's? Justin Gagne says, it was 80 degrees last week here in Maine, and tonight it's supposed to get down to 20 degrees. Right. That's why they call it April Fools, but now it's May, right? Glad you didn't plan anything yet. We have a rule here in Arizona is you don't plant anything until after the mesquites bud, because the mesquites are the smartest trees. They always know when the last freeze is. The dumb trees, they all, you know, they bloom and start to fruit and everything, and then it freezes and kills everything before the mesquites even have a bud on them. So after the mesquites are done, that's when you plant around here. You back up here a little bit. Lynn McCurdy, Dave, do you know how special you are? Oh, come on. Asked my wife if she wanted me to fix dinner. She said I can wait till after the show, which will make it around 8 p.m. That's very flattering. I am honored that dinner will wait until I had a little dinner before I came up here tonight. I had an early dinner. How's the sound? You guys all hear me okay? I always worry about the sound. You're an Anthem? Okay. Evening from Denver. Chris Lambert is here. Good evening, Chris. So behind me, you see I've got the Gruesome Gulch layout is running tonight. Going round and round in circles. I'm just running the top loop because that's the only one you can see from this angle. Maybe we'll take a walk on over there in a little bit. Let me get a drink of water here. But other than the big monsoon storm, which is blowing through, making a lot of noise, bashing the trees up against the window every once in a while. Pretty quiet up here in Jerome tonight at the studio. There's no band practicing downstairs or recording, not tonight. I don't know, some of you guys don't know, I do 2 live streams a month. The first one is at the beginning of the month, and that's just for members, Patreon patrons, and YouTube members. And I thank you guys all very much for showing up for those. And the band was practicing downstairs. But it's nice and quiet up here tonight. Let's see. You know, I didn't really have a whole lot of topic in mind, except for, you know, a couple of little things. I wanted to talk about a very exciting topic. Now, this is a thing, you put it on a description and say, this is what we're going to talk about tonight. And people are like, at least I am. This is track maintenance. Track maintenance. I was going to do a quick tip video on this, but I thought, you know, I'll just talk about it in the live stream. Before I start going into it, I want to ask you guys, what do you use? What do you use to clean your track with? And I will sit here and I'll wait for the, yeah, see, falling asleep already. What do you guys use to clean your track with? You know, do you use a Bright Boy? Do you use 70% rubbing alcohol? Yeah, I'm going to talk about it too, Michael, the laser cutting videos. Laser cutting being dropped, they may not sweeten to your honesty and integrity. Thank you for saying I'm honest and have integrity. I appreciate that. But I did warn them. I told them exactly what I was going to do. So we'll see how that goes. Sam Miller is trackless at the moment. Chris Lambert says rubbing alcohol. Jim Manley, 80 grit sandpaper. You're funny, Jim. Steve says mineral spirits. Okay. Last time I had track, Mike, is that you? Last time I had track, I used Rail Zip. I don't remember Rail Zip. Bob Bob says he uses the tears of HO scalers. I'm so glad you're here, Bob. You're really lighting things up. Oh, let me see what else. Oberon 85937. When I was part of a club, I think we used a Bright Boy and such like. Track cleaning car, brass tanker, small cotton pad. Yep. Lynn McCurdy, I use a centerline car, okay, with ACT-6006, then follow up with a cleaning car, felt rubbing with no ox. That's good. John Clark, I've used Bright Boys with no problem. So have I. I've used Bright Boys with no problem for years. You know, some people will tell you, don't use those, they scratch the track, and they do. But I hate to tell you, the track is scratched already. The track is scratched when you get it. Yeah, it does put micro pits and scratches in the track. It does do that. But there's ways to mitigate that, which I'll get to in a minute. 1000 grit sandpaper does the trick. Okay. DL Hemingway, not sure what to use for cleaning Bachmann steel alloy Easy Track. Here's what you do with that steel alloy track. You take it, and you carefully take it over, and then you drop it into the trash can and get yourself some nickel silver rail. I know it's more money, but that Bachmann Bachmann steel track is junk. It's just absolute junk. You can't keep it clean enough. Sam Miller, any news on finding 0-30 track? Let me make a note of that, and I'll answer that in a minute, Sam. Short answer is no. Unfortunately, other than eBay. Well, let me cut to the chase on the track cleaning, so we don't take up too much time with it. I learned that I've been cleaning my track wrong for decades. I've been doing it wrong. And I'll tell you why I've been doing it wrong. And those of you who are also doing it wrong, you have my sympathy, because I was told to do it this way, and that's the way I did it for years. I probably read it in Model Railroader magazine 100 years ago, and I've been using this, and I would put it on a clean cotton cloth. I have a little special track cleaners that I make that I'll show you in a second that I use. But the problem with 70% isopropyl alcohol, or any kind of alcohol for that matter, is that it's what's called polar. It has a conductivity to it. And what that does is it gets into the micro pits and scratches in your rail that are already there or created by a bright boy or that 1000 grit sandpaper that you're using, or whatever, any kind of abrasive, a Scotch-Brite pad or anything, is going to scratch that rail. It gets in there, and then when current is passed through it and your train, your locomotive runs over it, it creates micro arcing. And the micro arcing is what creates those carbon buildups on the track. They're going to happen anyway, but it's actually, this stuff actually makes it worse. So in the short run, yeah, it cleans your track, and your trains will run pretty good for a couple hours, sometimes longer, maybe a day. But over time, it actually makes that carbon, that black, this crap that we clean off our rails, makes that worse in the long run. So, and those of you who know all this, you can, some of you are sitting there nodding, I know, and some of you are going, the thing you want to use is something that's non-polar, that's not, doesn't cause that micro arcing, doesn't conduct, something that's basically inert on the rails. So turpentine works well, but what I like to use is odorless mineral spirits. I saw somebody mention this earlier, and so this is now my go-to for cleaning track. What you want on the surface of that track is as close to the way it came from the store as you can get it. And that's what this does. It takes all of that black gunk off, but doesn't cause the micro arcing that isopropyl alcohol does. So your track stays clean a lot longer. And to clean the track, I have a couple of special tools. And those that come to the studio, I show them this stuff because I'm very proud of it. Like I invented the wheel or something. But it's like, this is just a piece of cork. This is a wine cork with some old t-shirt material wrapped around it. And I dip that in the mineral spirits and run that on the track until it doesn't come off black anymore. And this is my latest thing. A lot of you guys probably have something like this, but this is a homemade version with a cork, and this is a aluminum rod that's been epoxied in here. It actually comes apart in the middle, so we got short and long versions of this. And this is for getting into tunnels and bridges and hard to reach places like that. And it's got the same thing on the end, a cork that's been epoxied on, and then some t-shirt material on there, and that's dipped in the mineral spirits and run. And then after you get your track clean, after it's clean, this stuff. No Ox IDA special. I saw one of you mention that earlier too. And the trickiest part of this stuff is if you think you're not putting any on when you're putting it on, you're putting on the right amount. You know, if you put on enough that you can see it, then you're putting on too much. You just take a little tiny dab and you dab it on the top of the rail and you shouldn't even be able to see it. And then you run your trains on top of it. Yes, I'm going to get to the wheels too. You want to clean the wheels first also. Thank you for reminding me. And I also use mineral spirits for that. I use a Q-tip or I use a clean cotton cloth. Not only the wheels, but you know, a lot of you guys are in ON30 or runs small wheelbase locomotives like I do, like the Porters. You got to clean the contacts, not just the wheels, not just the part of the wheels that come, you know, the flanges and the tires of the wheels that come into contact with the rails. Behind the wheels, there's that little springy piece of, copper back there. You got to clean that too. And you'll find if you haven't cleaned it, it's going to come away with a ton of black gunk on it. You know, hair and everything else. Ask me how I know. So that's, yeah, you got to clean the wheels. Also a really good idea to clean the wheels of all of your equipment, all your cars, anything that comes into contact with the rails. And then you put this stuff on. No Ox ID special. You can find this stuff on Amazon, I believe. No, it's called, no, it's not, you know, the packaging is not flashy at all. It comes in a little tub, and a little tub like this will last you a lifetime because you only put on a tiny little bit, like I said. So No Ox IDA special. No Ox IDA special. And after the live stream, I'll try to find a link to it and I'll put it down below. You get some for yourself. It greatly improves conductivity. What that does then is when you run the trains over it, it coats the wheels. And it also gets down into all those little micro cracks and crevices and micro pits in the rails. And instead of filling it with carbonized gunk, it fills it with something that's going to improve conductivity. That's what this stuff is for. So, and then after that, you go back and you wipe it all with a clean cloth to make sure that there's no excess on there. How do you apply it? With your finger. You just, see, this is what it looks like. It looks disgusting. It looks like dirty earwax and actually has the texture and consistency of earwax. So you dab a little bit on the end of your finger like that. See how it's just shiny? And then you take and you put that on the rails. You just dab it on the top of the rails. And if you have a lot of track, that can take a lot of time. And you should run all of your locomotives of it, all the ones that you use regularly. And then some people have claimed that once you do that, you never have to clean your track again. You know, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. You know, except to vacuum it. Some people say that, you know. But if you go back again, of course, with mineral spirits, after doing this, you're going to take this stuff off. So you'd have to reapply it again. I'd say maybe you could probably, if you do this, you could probably get away with, you know, cleaning your track maybe once a year instead of, you know, all the time. Anyway, let me catch up on some of the comments and questions here. Brad Martin says, I have not cleaned my track in 1.5 years. I applied No Ox, and since then I haven't needed to clean my track. You just have to dust it, right? Sometimes just a vacuum cleaner if it gets dusty. That's all. Let's see. Wow, the storm is really coming in. Steam would grow. I use an eraser to clean up the carbon off my Lionel O gauge track. Yeah, that's an old trick. Yeah. Piece of masonite. Yep. Or Arm & Hammer Magic Eraser. Yes. And then mineral spirits. Yeah. So mineral spirits is the stuff. It's readily available. You can get it at any hardware store. You can get the odorless kind so it doesn't stink. It evaporates out of the air. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to wear gloves while you do it. I can't say I always do that because I'm a devil may care kind of guy. But you can also use it to clean your paintbrushes too. Lynn McCurdy makes a great point. Don't trash the steel track. Take it to the recycling center. Yes, That's good. Robert Goslin, good day from down under in Australia. Long time viewer, first time caller. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Stevie A says, considering dead rail no cleaning. That's a good kind of side topic. Is dead rail. It had a moment there a while ago where everybody was getting into dead rail, especially in ON30 and the larger G scales. I looked into it, dead rail, and long story short, basically, because I run such short locomotives like the little porters and stuff, and the main reason I would want dead rail is because it makes the sound more reliable. In order to have any kind of running time with the sound, you would have to have basically a box car, a dedicated car with the battery in it all the time. So that kind of was like, keep alive is probably easier. Keep alive and clean the track. But, you know, some people hate to clean the track. I'm one of those people. That's one of the reasons I don't want the layout to get much bigger than it is now. It's like when I look at pictures of these huge, you know, HO scale basement empires, you know, or like the Gory and Defeated, John Allen's layout. My first reaction is, wow, that's amazing. It's a beautiful layout. My second reaction is, man, that's a lot of track to clean. That's a lot of maintenance. That's a lot of dusting. That's a lot of cobwebs to clean up, right? So, yeah, exactly. I meant to say that, Lynn. 70% alcohol means it's 30% water. So it's really not a great idea to put water on your track either. DK Austin 98. Anybody use a graphite stick on their rails? Yes, I do from time to time, especially on like turnout points and stuff like that. That's a great little cheat. If I'm getting ready for an open studio and, you know, I got a stubborn spot on the track where something stalls, hit it with just a little. And again, with the graphite, you don't want a lot. You just want, you should barely even be able to see it on there. But yeah, it works. It helps. It's a short-term solution, I should say. Sam Miller, ever try Tooleen? I've heard of it. I have not tried it myself. Mike says, Rail Zip still exists from Pacer. Lynn McCurdy, 2 years ago at a show, we ran out. Someone forgot to bring the track cleaner. We used hand sanitizer. Some freaked out, but it worked and the track smelled nice. Yeah, it's, you know, because it's alcohol based. So it would work in the short term to clean the track. But again, you're going to get that. You're going to get extra carbon buildup. You know, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by using alcohol. It works in the short term, but in the long term, it makes things worse. So I am a convert. I am now an evangelist for mineral spirits. Have you tried mineral spirits? You know, I don't usually talk about products in my video, but have you tried clean strip mineral spirits? Just don't drink it and keep it away from an open flame and don't snort it or anything like that. Safety first. How do you apply it? I told you. I take this. I use a lid, like a metal lid, not a plastic lid, like an old peanut butter jar, and pour a little bit of this in there, like a tablespoon, and then I just drop this in there. It soaks up into the cotton cloth, and we rub it over the rails. This is my soon-to-be patented custom Thunder Mesa Studio track cleaner, which is a wine cork with a couple of thumbtacks holding a piece of t-shirt around it, and it's the best track cleaner I've ever used. Let's see. Dave Van, back in the 80s, IBM provided felt blocks to clean 3420 tape drives with alcohol, and they were great. Yeah. Someone needs to invent a powered wheel cleaner for the cars. I'm sure someone at Woodlands Phoenix is on that. That's what it is, earwax. That's the secret. They couldn't just put earwax on the jar because nobody would buy it. So they came up with a fancy name, No Ox IDA Special. It's actually earwax. Wait, let me smell it. I have to smell it now. It doesn't smell like earwax. It smells like, it actually has the smell of an old carbureted pickup truck with an oil leak. You know that smell? That's slightly burning oil smell? That's what it smells like. But it's not strong or overpowering or anything. It would dissipate very quickly. Chris Lambert, do you ever cover your layout with plastic sheeting? No, that sounds like a nightmare. That would just wreak havoc on. I mean, maybe if I was going to put it into storage for a year or something, I would do something like that. But I would take everything off first. I'd take everything that isn't nailed down, I would take it off and wrap it up and put it away, and then put plastic sheeting over the scenery. Because taking it off and on would cause, I think it would cause more damage than would be worth the dust abatement. And as I often say, I'm in a 101-year-old building, so dust is a way of life. We got the old acoustical tile school ceilings in here that snow, white dust on everything. So I keep a shop vac handy. Jim, we already covered that, how we clean my brake brushes. Use track cleaning cars yourself. I have a track cleaning car too. I have an HO scale track cleaning car, and occasionally I'll run it around the layout. That's just an abrasive felt pad. Or you could put some mineral spirits on that felt pad. My feeling is that on a track cleaning car, unless you're changing that pad all the time, you're just moving the gunk around. You know, it's like it's gonna clean for a few hundred feet, and then it's dirty. Then it's like this, right? I take these off and throw them away when they look like this. I just wanted to show it to you and put a clean one on. So yeah, I guess you can change that pad as often if you want to. And I have a track cleaning car. I don't use it very often. Is what I'm saying here. I run it around the layout from time to time. My grandfather used to use Zippo lighter fluid to clean stubborn spots on his HO scale layout. Says the Mineral King Railroad and Photography, great name. Yeah, that would work. I think that's non-polar. Zippo lighter fluid. Yeah, I think that would work. My grandmother once made me, wash my hands with gasoline. Because she was from that generation. Because I had grease all over. Gasoline, take that right off. She's from Oklahoma. That's how she talked. Gasoline, take that right off. You look like a dirty monkey, boy. Get in there and wash those hands. Justin Gagne, this is great. I keep trying to make larger scale models and smaller layouts, less track and more details. That's kind of what I'm doing too. It's like I'm looking at GN15 now going, maybe I'll do something in GN15. I've got that space in my garage up above the laser. I could put like a GN15 shelf layout. Don't tell my wife. I hope she's not watching. I've been thinking of this. The thing is, I have an old Bachmann 260. Old Bachmann Mogul, ON30, and a lot of people turn them into 060s in ON30. And I thought, well, why you could turn it into a really cool looking 060 in GN15. I'm sure somebody's probably done it. I just haven't seen it. Do you cover? Greg Gilbert, will you cover the Gruesome Gulch when you transport it? It'll be covered inside the car. It fits snugly into the back of the Grand Cherokee. The base folds up flat, and then the whole layout just slides right in, and then it's like this far from the roof of the Grand Cherokee, at least the Skull Butte is. So yeah, it's covered. It's covered in there. Let's see. Robert, what are you talking about? What is what tastes like hazelnuts? I don't even know if I want to get into that. Oh, the cork is very much like the centerline car track cleaner. Yeah, it's got the round one, right? That's right. Blow Molders not Notebook says hello from Indiana. Hello, how are things in Indiana? Aztec make HO and N scale track cleaning cars. Yeah, I guess my point here ultimately is that yeah, you can spend a lot of money. You can buy track cleaning cars and all that kind of stuff, and I've done it. Other people did it. Or, you can fish something like this out of the garbage and an old t-shirt and some mineral spirits, you know, uh, $7.99. I don't know how much this was. How much can a banana cost? Uh, you know, a can of mineral spirits and go to town. This, by the way, this aluminum rod is from an old gun cleaning kit. That's where this came from. It's from an old gun cleaning kit. Found that in the garage. And I epoxied a little eye screw on the end there so I can hang it up. Because I'm weird that way. Anyway, what else we got going on? Robert Goslin, Steve, I don't have... Okay, so you guys are carrying on conversation. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. You'll try what David's saying. He knows a bit about model railroads. I'm an influencer. I know how to keep them running. There's people that know more than I do, but I know how to keep them running because, I do. I have an open studio every month, and they got to run. So it's only once a month, so there's plenty of downtime for maintenance in between. There's plenty of time to clean the track between the open studios, even though I usually do it right before. This is just what I learned. I am not an expert. I am just a person who shares what I've experienced. So, Rusty Rockin' Railroad, 51 years in the hobby. I'm surprised I made it through the brass track era. I remember the brass track era. Brass was so frustrating, and there was no dead rail back then that I remember. Right. Are those crows or an alarm in the background? That's the soundtrack of Gruesome Gulch that you're hearing. So it's running. The whole show is running right now behind me, so you can hear it. That's the soundtrack that Jim Wells at Fantasonics Engineering created for me, which is fantastic. He did a fantastic job. We spent some time going back and forth on the phone and emails and said, I want this and don't want this, blah, blah, blah. And he came up with just 2 fantastic soundtracks. Wow, it's getting windy out there. Something just blew down in the hall. So you got one in the front and one in the back. You're hearing mostly the front side soundtrack, which is mostly ghost town sounds, so creaking and wind, and every once in a while there'll be a coyote, and you'll hear the ravens or the crows going off. But that's about it. Robert, you go back to the railroad line forums. That's awesome. It's a lot of I know people's names now, but I don't remember what everyone back in the old forum days. It's the same with Mice Chat. People had handles. We didn't give out our real names. We had handles. We had very clever names that we came up with. Or on the railroad line forums, it was usually the name of whatever your railroad was. So yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I remember the railroad line forums very fondly. McGowjobs. Am I saying your name correctly? I hope so. I was thinking about a dead rail setup with a small battery and charging from live rails. Yeah, TCS, I think, did something like that, didn't they? I don't know if they're in the dead rail business anymore, though. And they have it not being affected by intermittent connections. That's the dream. Electron Wrangler says, I have to agree with you here. Often people who aren't experts have more useful knowledge than the supposed experts. Let's see. Burnsland, yeah, the Burnsland and the Disneyland Railroad forums. I remember that fondly also. Everything moved to Facebook. Everything moved to Facebook. Facebook took over the world, all of the old forums, or Twitter. I quit Twitter. God, it's been 9 months, and man, it's been done wonders for my mental health. But yeah, those forums, yeah, Mice Chat and Burnsland and Railroad Line. I used to be on all those forums back in the day. Oh, Sammy's here. Hi, Sammy. Nice to see you. I wanted to get back to the ON30 track. Where do you find ON30 track? Micro Mark said it would be in by now. Microengineering said they would have it by now. It's still back ordered everywhere, which is good news for the people at Fast Tracks, I guess, because you can buy a template and hand lay your track. Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to find. Pico ON30 is hard to find. Microengineering track is hard to find. Pico ON30 you can still get in the UK. It's still become hard to find here in the States. But Hatton's, check them out. Hatton's Model Railways. It's a British company. I like to give them a shout out because they helped me out with some ON18 HOE track. Let's see. Burnsland is still there. Mice Chat is still there. Mice Chat is still the same 3 guys arguing with each other. Electron Wrangler, quit Facebook and mostly quit Twitter. I only go on Facebook for this, for the model railroad stuff. I don't even use my personal profile anymore. I just use my page profile and use that to post in groups and chat with people in groups and ask questions and answer questions and stuff. And then I run. I get out of there quickly before someone's crazy uncle starts talking to me. Sammy says, Pico can be ordered from Hatton's in the UK. Yes, good service and decent shipping. They will not charge you an arm and leg, and it doesn't take forever. CompuServe. I was explaining, I have a 16-year-old son, and I was explaining AOL to him the other day. I said, get this. They used to send you a disc in the mail. The mail, what we get out in the mailbox, they would send you this disc, and then you would go and you'd put that in your computer and install AOL onto your computer. And the way I explained it to him was like AOL was like the first version of someone, a company trying to control the internet and filter the internet down and make it, here's the portal to the internet. You've got mail, right? All that. In which then it was MySpace, and then Facebook took that over. There are some people that don't ever leave Facebook. That's their only interaction on the internet. They just do Facebook. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. We were talking about ON30 track. Scott Eastburn, are you familiar with the X-Tool D1 laser? How does it compare to the Falcon 2? I am not. I have not used that one. The only ones I am familiar with are the ones that I've used. I don't know how it would compare to the Falcon 2. I know how my CO2 laser compares to the Falcon 2. And, mine's a 50-watt machine, but it was also 5 times as much. So you do get what you pay for, in most cases. Let's see. CompuServe. Yes, Facebook is great for exchanging modeling ideas. It's a great place to post photos and videos and show what you're working on and have that camaraderie that we used to get at at the local hobby shop. Free minutes on AOL, that's right. With the 56K dial-up modem. Or is that a fax machine? Same kind of sound. Bulletin boards. John Shireen, anybody prefer hand-laid track? I've been experimenting with Proto 87. I've threatened to do some hand-laid track. The only hand-laid track I've really done is like on bridges and stuff. I have not built a turnout. Sad to say. I should order me some, see, but that would lead to a whole thing. If I started hand laying some track, I would have to have, it would be I'd have to build a module or something, some sort of scene to go with it, because just the track is not, I want to have the whole thing. So we'll see. Maybe the next little project layout I do, like Gruesome Gulch, I'll do a hand-laid track. That would be fun. I need a better soldering iron though before I do that. Grain Express says, "Hi Dave from Indiana." Hello in Indiana. Oh, the X tool is an open frame also, but it's a bit more expensive. Okay. So it's also a diode laser. Yeah. My next video that's coming out on the Falcon 2, which members have already seen. Well, it's out for them now. It came out, what's today, Wednesday? Heck, it came out today. So maybe they've seen it, maybe they haven't. Part 2 is a little more critical than the first one was. The first one was like, hey, I was pretty impressed with it because I had zero expectations going in. I was like, I don't know what it's going to do. Will it even work? The truth is, and I don't want to put. My wife keeps telling me, just be objective, and just tell them what it does, tell them what it doesn't do. Don't draw conclusions. Let the viewer, draw their own conclusions. So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to really give it a grade or anything, or say, give my opinion, more or less. I just want to give the facts of here's what it does and here's what I think it's good for, But yeah. Anyway. Russ is rockin' on railroad. My son says Facebook is for old people. My son says the same thing, and both of our sons are right. Dave Van, I scratch built one turnout. One is the first and the last. Did you use the fast track jigs or some other jig setup? Because I hear that makes it a lot easier. Bob says, I'll post some of my hand-laid track work someday soon. I would love to see that, Bob. Hey, Bob, while I got you on here, I have an idea for a project layout. It's a tropical island. I wanted to get your blessing. But, okay, so it's a tropical island, but it's not like your kind of tropical island. It's got dinosaurs on it. And an erupting volcano. So it's the Lost World Railway and Navigation Company, which I am telling the world about for the first time. I wanted you to know I probably will never get around to making it, so don't worry. Sammy's Workshop says the expansion town from across the aisle from Thunder Mesa, do that in hand laying. I could, I could do that. What would be fun to try and do is hand lay the track and try to match the look of the Pico track, but in hand laid. Does that even make sense? Why would I do that? I would want it to look more realistic. In the Pico track, the ties are actually too short. It looks very European. I have to think about that. But that's a good idea. Let's see. John Choo Choo 93. I've been experimenting with custom Lionel 3-rail track using micro-engineering rail flex tracks with hand spike center rail custom made switches. Wow, that's ambitious. I bet it looks great. If you're going to lay the track, you might as well do it with gusto and model some crazy. I was thinking the opposite. Instead of doing some, crazy fantasy thing with, dinosaurs and aliens or something, do something more down to earth, more like, I love the Pacific Coast narrow gauge, like the South Pacific Coast and the North Pacific Coast and the Pacific Coast. All three of those coastal narrow gauge lines. Like, it would be really fun to do something based on that, like a coastal scene, Pacific Coast coastal scene. Some redwoods or some rolling hills with live oaks, and hand lay the track and do it do it straight. It'd be fun just to show that I can. Do it almost prototypically. Let's see. Grain Express, you're patiently waiting for a new podcast to drop. Literally love the episode with James Powell. Turn my brother onto that one. I love the episode with James Powell. I love all of the episodes, and I always get asked, when's the next podcast coming? And the truth is, and this is my excuse, is that it takes the same amount of time to do a podcast as it does to do a project video. So, it's like I can't do both, so I tend to choose to do the video. But that said, what I would like to do is get together with people here in the studio, right here. I sit here, they sit there, and we do, instead of a podcast, or kind of like a podcast, we have a conversation. We do like a live stream like this, where we talk to you guys. We have a guest, and instead of just me asking them my dumb questions, you guys can ask them your dumb questions too. Just kidding. We could all just have a conversation, which would be great. I think that would be better than a podcast. Thunder Mesa Conversations. I don't know what we could call it something. I can come up with a name, but that would be fun. The thing about the podcast is that 6 people are listening. It doesn't get nearly the play. I don't get nearly the feedback or nearly the what do they say in the internet world? The reach from the podcast, because that I do from the videos. So it's just time management, unfortunately. Bob says, go for it. Can you see it? Erupting volcano, dinosaurs. I want to have some of the dinosaurs be animated. Little mini animatronics. I think it'd be bitchin'. Lost World Railway and Navigation Company. Old steam, an old tramp steamer at the dock. Kind of like Skull Island, like it's getting ready to sink. Giant Redwoods, that's a good one. I like that. You hand build all the turnouts at the N-Scale Club. So tiny. That's great. And I imagine they work better than store-bought. Question 9 horse fan. Howdy, Dave. Howdy. Thanks for coming tonight. Sam Fuller, do you ever cut in rail joints every 29 scale feet? It's like you don't know me at all. Of course I do. No, I don't cut in rail joints every 29 scale feet. That's that's a proto thing. You do that because that's the length of the rail prototypically, and then you get that clickety clack, that prototypical clickety clack when the trains and trains go over. So there's a reason to do that, and you don't even have to cut all the way through the rail. You just saw down a little bit, and you'll get that. But to me, it's just like that would be a place for gunk to build up and dirty track. Which brings us full circle back to right of the original topic. Really need to get Gary on the podcast. I would love to. I'd love to get Gary here. I'd love to get you here. It would be so fun. Or Sam, or any of you guys, just to hang out. You know, the next time you come, we'll just do it. We'll schedule a thing. We'll just you know, we might have a couple of beers and and do the thing. It'd be a lot of fun. Jake would be a blast too. Conversation Street. Hey. Sean Williams is here. The Shea Man. I'm going to call you the king of the ON30 Shea, Sean. You have earned that title. I'm glad you made it. The Port Hartford Pier on the Pacific Coast Railway is on your bucket list. Yeah. It's all great stuff. Let's see. I'm way behind here. Jim Manley, low return on investment on podcasts. Yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to. Let's see. Chris Lambert, did you see the dragon burn up at Disneyland? Oh yeah, that was all over the place. That was all over the news. In fact, this is something that fun that happens sometimes because of the wonderful people that I know. And I can't name any names or anything, but that like 2 days after the dragon caught on fire, I get a couple of texts and from the park from someone that was working on trying to remove the wreckage. Mechanical engineer that was called in to get rid of the stuff. It's like, he had some great backstage photos that I can never show to anybody. Scott Eastburn, when might you get to work on the new 440 you got? I have one like it. I'm looking forward to what you're going to do with yours. Are you talking the outside frame Bachmann 440 in ON30? Later this year, I'll be getting to it, I hope. There's that one, and I have another that was gifted to me. I have another Bachmann Richmond 440 in HO scale, which is going to be converted like the number 11 was to ON30, and it's going to be the Rolly Crump, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I've got one of those Forneys. They're great. I can't run it because my curves are too sharp. I have to turn it into a 240 with a tender. Sam Fuller, would you eat at Colt's? Colt's Grill? Yeah. Sammy's Workshop. I was trying to knock together an idea for a Caribbean island with a tourist steamer in the dock and pirates on a lower dock, loading unearthed pirate treasure and booty, sneak back to the mainland. That's great. Gary Beatty's building a Jamaican-themed rum layout. All of his layouts have alcohol theme. If I didn't know him, I'd say, you need to get in a program, pal. Let's see. Equestrian Iron Horse fan. I've pretty much carved my first rock formation. Is the next step adding plaster? I'm still new to that. Check out my my build of Calico Mountain. I don't use plaster per se. I use a product called Sculptamold, which is plaster and paper mache kind of mixed together, so it has a texture to it, and you can mold it and fit it. It doesn't just go like plaster does. Plaster, of course, dries also completely smooth. So yeah, check that out. Check out the Calico Mountain build. There is a playlist down below, all about Calico Mountain. Oh my goodness, it's almost been an hour. DL Hemingway, dang, I've got to call it a night. I'm going to have to call it a night too. Your boss called Don't answer the phone. You have to fill in the morning. The other guy. Thanks for coming tonight, man. I appreciate it. Let's see. Can other Bachmann 440s be used? Sure. Belinda says the Phantom Manor should be ahead of the 440. I'm not going to commit one way or the other. It could. I have to build a place to put it first. I have to actually physically extend the front of the layout to have a place to put Phantom Manor before I build it. Well, I don't have to, but that would be the logical way to do it. It's on the list. All of those things are on the list. I have videos planned out through the end of this year. I mean, the plan is fluid. Things change, and I put things in here and there. And that was a topic I wanted to talk about before we wrap up tonight. It's like I just want to thank everybody for continuing to watch and support my channel. And it's grown a lot in the last year. I mean, I'm nowhere near as big as some of these other guys. I'm closing in on 10,000 subscriptions, which is exciting. That's great. And I want to thank you all for continuing to support the channel. Even if the only support that you do, that you can do, is just to, sit through the ads. Because that helps. That helps me out. That makes it possible for me to continue to do what I do and to create the content and have a new video every week. And that's my minimum goal, pretty much, is to be able to do a video a week. And for a while there, I was doing, one every 5 days, and that was like wiping me out. There are some channels where they do, they can do a video every day, but they have a whole production staff. It's just me. I am the whole production staff. So, you guys really help out and enable me to do that. And those of you who are members are also, you're my favorite people. I greatly appreciate it. Oh, you're welcome, John. It's, sharing what I do that's what makes it fun. If I was just doing this, if I was just a cranky old man in my basement playing with trains, it wouldn't be half as much fun. It wouldn't be anywhere near as much fun as putting it out there and sharing with people. I love it. Let's see. Any last minute questions before we sign off for the night? Do you own a Shay? I have. Sean asks, do I own a Shay? I do not have a Bachmann Shay. And I've talked about this before because I don't think it'll run. Well, it'll run in one direction with the pistons on the cylinders on the outside of the curve. But if I tried to run it the other way on the 15-inch curve, it would bind. It wouldn't make it around the corner. So I don't have one of those. Someone gave me a HO Bachmann, one of those 3-truck Bachmann HO shays to convert to ON30, and that's a project I may be getting to. Also, another locomotive project. Chris Road, my 14-year-old son and I love your channel. Oh, thank you so much. That means the world. I like being a family-friendly channel. I like it when people watch together with their kids and stuff. That's fantastic. A video day is a lot easier if all you do is talk. Yeah. There are some channels that I watch. There's the people that just go out and film stuff. It's like, wow, I could do that. I just go film stuff. In fact, I want to take a road trip this summer. I want to take a Nevada railroad-themed road trip. Nevada and California. Go to Bishop, go to Laws, SP, old SP narrow gauge up there, then go on up to Carson City, the Nevada State Railroad Museum, then to Virginia City, and then loop back down around through Tonopah and Goldfield and all that stuff, and come back around through Boulder. I want to do that. I just have to talk my wife into it, and you know, I'll film the whole thing, and we'll have some fun railroad adventures. Haven't done one of those in a while. That'd be fun. Jim Manley, you got me as a monkey boy, and I appreciate you, Jim. I really do. I appreciate you being my on-call moderator for this stuff. Yes, road trip, Eli. I hit Eli a couple of years ago, and the trains were, I think it was during COVID, and they were closed. You know, the trains weren't running. I did get to walk around the roundhouse though, which was really cool. The engine house. I would like to do that again. The Nevada Northern would be awesome. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for continuing to support the channel and for everything that you do. All we can do in this life, no matter what it throws at us, is to keep moving forward. And that's what I'm going to do. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Next Wednesday, the next one will be, I have a couple of announcements. I was about to ready to sign off. Wait, don't go. June 3rd is the next open studio. It's a Saturday from 2 to 6 here in Jerome. And the next live stream will likely be the third Wednesday in June also. So, see you then. Good night, everybody.